So today's a really good opportunity for Rip, even though this is going to be sheep, not cattle, which is I know what you guys have at home. I'm going to have him hold the sheep to me in the corner so that I can look at their eyes, and I've got a couple that need some antibiotic drops in their eyes. So this is a lot of the stuff that people are always like, well, I don't understand why I'm ever going to need that. The solid down, the dog covering the livestock for you and understanding the job, and then the dog to come off balance if you ask. There may be a particular sheep within the group that I'm trying to get to move forward or closer to me, and if I can reposition him to do that instead of me having to reposition the entire group, it works out better. So he's got to be able to listen and take directions. Sometimes those directions don't make sense to him, but if he sticks with it and he does what I ask him to, we're going to get the job accomplished. So I'm going to probably put more focus on the livestock than I am on him. When I can see that my livestock are not in the right position, I know he's not in the right position. So that's when I'll put my attention towards him and redirect him. I am going to hold a stick. I'm probably going to put it in the corner with me instead of holding it all the time, because I'm going to need two hands here. We are going to try to work out of that corner first because it's the least muddy. Sheep don't like the mud, so it would be harder to hold them in this corner or that corner. They like to stay together, so that part won't be a problem as long as he's not pushing in too closely. They should stay with the group. They shouldn't split. And then he just has to be patient while I check each one and make sure they don't need treatment. Commands are all standard. It's going to be come by, away, there, stop, down, walk up, push if I need it, and then I'll probably just only be getting onto him for either not doing the commands as I've asked or if he's getting in the wrong position. Watch my stalk with my stick in my right hand. I send him on the away. When he goes, I go ahead and back up and I let him handle the job. He is a little bit enthusiastic there, which is not a big deal as long as we're able to get the job accomplished and he's not harassing anything. So I told him there, and that gives him permission to walk these sheep up towards me. They're leavings and he's not covering, so I send him on a come by. I'm noticing that he's limping. So right there, I want to just go check him. As soon as I start making a move towards him, he starts to come towards me and I correct him and tell him down. If he's not on the other side of these livestock, they're going to leave. So I want him to stay where he's at so that I can come check him. Really important for a stock dog, guys, is for your dog to be very, very comfortable with you looking. When I looked at the bottom of his foot, it looked like maybe he had stepped on a rock. He had just like a small indention. No open sore or anything. It's been super wet, so their pads are soft. So I tell him there, and I corrected him a little bit because he wanted to go with me. Told him there, and he chose to down. So he needs to be more on the come-by side a little bit to keep the sheep to me. And he's uncomfortable in that direction. He's much more comfortable with the away. He's much more comfortable being on the heels of the livestock. So sending him in that direction was a little difficult. I had to step out and put a little pressure on him. I'm doing it again right here. Put a little pressure on him. Release the pressure when he's in the right place. Tell him there. And I think I'm telling him to push him up. Yep. So I'm saying shh, 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 and asking him to push him up. If he's in the wrong place, I put a little pressure on him. I need these sheep packed in pretty tight because when I go to grab one, if they choose to leave, if they're not packed in pretty tight and feeling the pressure of that dog, then they'll just split in all different directions and go. So sending him come by, there, push him up, good boy. So he's getting some movement out of him now. So I've got one of the ones I need to treat. And he's doing actually a good job covering right there. So holding that whole group together, that's what covering is. That's why it's so important. When he sees that I've got one and he comes to my side, I say, hey, what are you doing? because now he doesn't have the job in mind and he's disturbing the sheep that I've got in my hands. That's why she backed so far away from the group, is because she knew the dog, where the dog was, and that he was coming up to her. So I just need to check all of these, and I can't pay attention to what he's doing all the time. I know if they're grouped up and they're not nervous, they're where I need them to be, then he's doing the right thing. So he's covering the movement. So a lot of that is the movement of the sheep. When one breaks out of the group and kind of wants to shift around, he's covering that, which is perfectly fine. I do get on to him a little bit for the poop eating. I just don't want him eating a ton of it. It can become a bad habit or something that, the dog is focused on overdoing the job. So I just get on to him a little bit for that. He's still doing it though, however, so as long as my sheep are being held to me. There we go. Get a big correction in. That backed him up, got him back into the game, got his head into where it was supposed to be. I did not ask him to down. I did say there again. There is kind of my catch-all term for turn into the stock and control them where they're at. So all I want him to do at this point is hold them. So you can start implementing a hold command. Just tell the dog hold them, and then correcting for anything that's not a hold. So he's coming to check that one out because I've got a hold of it, and I give him a correction. He chooses to lay down. She's not super nervous, so I leave it alone. But then when my sheep start to leave, if he doesn't cover, I give him the come by command. They're kind of leaving because he's in a position but not the correct position. Away. Right there. Push him up, push him up. Get him up, get him up. He's coming a lot too far on my side. So this is definitely a dog that is much more comfortable on the same side as the human. So this kind of thing, this kind of chore where you're sitting around asking him to hold stock to you or gather to you is a lot harder for him. He'll get better with time if you give him support, give him small jobs that he can be successful at, such as this one. These sheep are not going to challenge him in any particular way because they're pretty dog broke. They are honest. They will leave the situation if they can, if they feel like the dog's not holding them, but they're not just going to challenge him outright about it. So if he comes too close to my side, I give him a correction and tell him come by. And he doesn't. So I'm using my arm kind of as a stick. And he did finally take that and go where he was supposed to go. If he had not, I was going to have to let go of my sheep, which is the reason why I gave so many commands. So I gave him a down command and he ignored it. So I'm walking towards him to put pressure on him. Relieve the pressure once I get the down. I don't care where it is at this point. I've asked him to down. I need to get that result. The reason why I downed him is because he kept pushing in the wrong places. So he finally took my come by. He went around towards the other side of the sheep, but he was not in the right place where I'd asked him to be. So I told him there, walk up right here. I'm just trying to get them to shift around a little bit so I could see. I think I've got them all. Send him come by to cover them so they don't leave. Good boy. Pretty good first chore for him.